Tony Hackett cast his vote in Dublin South-West. His number one is going to Nan Joyce because throughout the 3-week campaign, Tony has been election agent for Nan. But while Tony casts his vote, the candidate watches and waits. Nan has no vote. Nothing unusual in that among travelling people. Life on the road means that very few travellers are on the register, and so they're not entitled to vote. Nan Joyce is an itinerant, but an unusual one. The first traveller ever to stand for election in the history of the state. Nan's home is the roadside in Tallaght. She's lived all her life on the road and knows the problems firsthand. But in the locality, residents see the itinerants as an eyesore and a nuisance.
They're using the small river down there for the toilet.
Yes.
Now,
Well, they have to use somewhere, haven't they? They can't just throw it on the pat.
but that's not the way, you know.
Now, if you had no toilet, if you were living like the travellers, what would you do?
Well, I don't think I'd use the same water that I'm using for the toilet. I'm not saying that the travellers are dirty, but the area is dirty because of the travellers. Is there anything going to be done about tidying the place up down
Well,
there,
what
you
can
know?
we do about it? We've no ways of
Have you
tidying
got any
it up.
sweeping brushes?
Well, where are we going to sweep it? If we sweep it, we'll sweep it on top of someone else.
Are you aware there's a gang going around with robbing cars? And
Are
there's
you
some
aware-
gypsies with them as well.
Are you aware that there's an awful lot of settled boys going around robbing
I
cars?
know that, yeah, I know that.
Well, you can't
But there is
blame one
gypsies
when
going
they...
with them as well, you know.
Well, if they are, there's as many settled people, boys as what there is travelling boys. You can't just blame one person for everything.
In May of this year, anti-itinerant feelings ran high as residents in the Tallaght area marched on Dublin County Council in a move to oust itinerants from the roadside. The reaction from travellers and their supporters was to march on Dáil Éireann, not to oust the settled community, but to highlight the problems of life on the road. From this group of marchers grew the Committee for the Rights of Travellers.
Well, our involvement arose out of the anti-traveller marches here, which happened this May of this year, when they reached terribly frightening proportions when people were talking about burning travellers out and so forth. Marie, myself, a few others that now form the Committee for the Rights of Travellers, we decided at that time that there had to be someone in the settled community that would redeem the settled community from this sort of...
Are you just one of the do-gooders who's become involved?
Well, do-gooders carries with it a connotation of somebody charitable and that. We're and sort of well, you know, sort of wishy-washy people. I don't think we are that. We have from the start we've said we have nothing to give the travellers. We have no money, we have no resources or anything like that. What we have tried to do is to two things: educate the settled community to the fact that travellers are Irish people living in Ireland, they are disadvantaged people living in Ireland, and to educate the travellers at the same time to assert themselves as far as possible, to work with the travellers, talk with them, not to them or for them. There's such a dearth of ignorance about of what travelling people are, because there's this fear and prejudice which has become now institutionalised against the travelling people, that the settled people don't actually talk to them. They don't know that they are people without two heads.
When I became involved there in May, I go into Nan all the time. I talk to her. She's a friend of mine now, and I do see the differences. And all I would ask any of the people is to try to understand why Nan and the travellers live the way they do. Is because the people don't understand them. There's an awful lot to know.
Just because we lived in the dirt and the rats and the filth, people thought we wanted to live in it. You know, when you're living, they leave them there and let them rot in it. We don't want this. Travelling women are very clean women. And when you're sending your children to school, you love to have them spotless. When I get up in the morning, I've no boiling water, baths and things like that. And I'm doing my best to send my children to school clean. And I know they're not perfect clean, because how can they be clean? We have no lovely big baths with the radox and the lovely towels. And I would like to say to the people who be looking at this programme, please don't throw your dirt on top of the travellers. We've enough of dirt of our own, and we've no way of getting rid of it. And to come along and live off little pups that they buy for the children. And when the pups get too big, they just dump them on the travellers. My wee boy brings me in a pup nearly every second day. Mammy, give him a little something, milk his time at the hunger. And there's only the bones of them little pups. They're just thrown on top of the travellers.
The position with you people should be that you should be totally integrated. We want you to become a part of us, properly housed, in every way,
Yes.
and that we think that this is a national problem.
Yeah, but
And we're hoping and praying that you people will exercise influence on your travelling people and beg of them to accept houses, full houses, to come in and rear your families and become as we are.
This is impossible. How can you take travellers and put them into settled people? They have led a different life all their lifetime. And you can't just put them in the middle of the settled people. It's the same as taking a settled woman and putting her in a wet, damp trailer, stuck in the muck and rats and filth and dirt. She wouldn't last a month in it.
do the travellers want to settle?
They have never been let settle. They have never been invited, or no one ever came and spoke to them. They were just classed as dirty knackers, you know.
Well, do they want to settle?
Half of the travellers want to settle. I want to settle. I want a house for my children. And I don't want it in with the settled people. I've nothing against the settled people. But I couldn't live their way of life because I've been brought up different, travelling all my life. Well, if I'm in with the travellers, I can speak to the travelling women. I know what they'll be saying to me. I know their worries and their troubles. Where if I'm in with a settled woman, I don't know half of the things. Do you know that she was entitled to it I never got?
The settled community, by their thinking on this, has said all travellers are the same. All travellers are not the same. Just as I may not get on with the neighbours on either side of me in a settled scheme or whatever, not all travellers get on together. They're human in their feelings in that respect, the same as the settled people. So therefore, to lump them all together is a recipe for disaster. Travellers must be consulted as to who and where they live with. That some travellers will want to live in settlements of travellers of compatible nature to themselves. I think this is maybe part of the solution.
I felt starting in the marches that we hadn't got a friend in the world. And here's all those people that I never even knew was in the world, or they didn't know I was in the world. And they come in and sit down and chat to you about their problems, and I chat them back. And so we're getting to know one another. This is the greatest thing that has happened. You know, people coming in that you've never seen before, and sitting down and understanding you, speaking to you as a woman, as an Irish woman.
You seem to be saying that you've got the women on your side.
Yes.
Now you need to win over the men.
Well, sure, we always trying to win over. I'm trying to win over one man for 24 years and I haven't got through to him yet. We can come around to that. But it is a great thing that has happened, you know, and even some of the people in the march now against us, you know, it's not that they were really bad. It's just like buying a pair of shoes and I bring them home and I say to myself, what did I buy them for in the muck? I should have buying a pair of boots. You know, when you go into something and you don't really think. And some of those people have come in and apologised. I find it's great that they have the guts to come in and say, well, we're sorry, we were in the march. They didn't really think. It's not that people are bad. They need more education about, you get all those education programmes about India, China in RTE. We're sick looking about learning about foreign people. Educate the Irish people about their own people. Let them know what way the travellers live. The travellers have love in their heart and we don't keep spite in for anyone. We want to make friends with the settled people and we want them to be friends with us.
And these are the votes got by the candidates. Con Brennan, 2,929. 2929. Richard Conroy, 2,673. 2673. Mary Harney, 4,619. 4619. Nan Joyce, 581. That's 581. Larry McMahon, 3,991. 3991. Noel Murphy, 240. 240. Michael O'Leary, 5,000.